Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. The theme of our workshop this week is to discuss the observing needs in the tropical Pacific informed by model studies and process understanding. The specific goals for the workshop will be discussed soon. Firstly, I would like to thank our sponsors, NOAA, NASA, and NSF, and the tremendous support from Mike and Jenny at US CLIVAR for organizing this workshop. We have 8 members in our Scientific Organizing Committee as listed here on this slide, and we are all from diverse national and international backgrounds. We are really excited and appreciate such an overwhelming response to this workshop and the interest all of you have shown. We have over 200 participants at this workshop registered from 28 different countries around the world. We are also very happy to see all the diverse backgrounds for all the participants who have registered and the diverse viewpoints all of you will bring to the discussions at this workshop. We have made this fun word cloud as depicted on the right using the keywords that all of you have submitted during your registration. And we are really happy to see that all the keywords that were highlighted, which are in big bold text here, align really well with the goals of the workshop, such as observations of the ocean atmosphere, coupled system, coupled boundary layers, ocean processes, and so climate. We have 2 specific goals for the workshop. The first is to identify poorly observed or unresolved processes that inhibit process level understanding, such as ocean atmosphere coupling or multi-scale interactions in the tropical Pacific, and also that inhibit model performance and prediction both locally in the tropical Pacific as well as teleconnections to other parts of the globe. The second goal of the workshop is to brainstorm on observational strategies to collect needed observations in the tropical Pacific using today's technology. We really hope that most of the discussion at the workshop will help inform on how to achieve these goals with community input and effort. The motivation for studying the tropical Pacific may be obvious to most of you. As we know, the importance of the tropical Pacific for the local regions as well as for the rest of the globe is highlighted in this graphic from NOAA. The tropical Pacific plays a really key role in modulating both the weather and climate locally as well as globally everywhere else. The tropical Pacific is a region with complex physical and biogeochemical processes that happen at orders of seconds to sub-kilometer scale, all the way out to years, multi-years, and basin-wide variability, as highlighted in the left graphic here, prepared by Charlotte and me. There are many important and poorly constrained processes that occur at small scales, temporally and spatially, that then cascade to large-scale processes. And errors in representation of these small-scale processes can lead to large errors in both the basin-wide and global fields, both on weather timescales and climate timescales. On the right here, we have shown a schematic derived from a recent paper, which highlights all these multi-scale processes that occur across the basin. We have the West Pacific warm pool, which has some of the world's warmest ocean surface waters, which is also a region of active convection and fine-scale mixing in the subsurface, which is bounded to the east by a strong gradient, which has frontal scale interactions as well as interesting barrier layer dynamics on the eastern edge of the warm pool. Similarly, in the East Pacific, we have a region of strong upwelling as well as strong mixing with really fine scale air sea interaction that is difficult to represent in weather and climate models. With this, I'll hand it over to Charlotte for the second part of the introduction. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Aneesh. Hi, everyone. My name is Charlotte DeMott, and I'm a senior research scientist at Colorado State University and one of the co-chairs of this workshop. So I'd like to give you a brief overview of the organization and logistics for this week's workshop. So first of all, we will be asking you to use a couple of different strategies to think about how to better observe tropical Pacific coupled processes and scale interactions. So after some introductory presentations that we'll hear today, on day 2, we'll follow a more traditional disciplinary approach as we think about how to best observe the tropical marine atmosphere, ocean, and surface exchanges. And these are indicated by the green and blue arrows and the red bar on the right. And the idea here is to really help each discipline focus their thinking and identify specific needs. On day 3, we want to challenge you to expand your thinking, to expand your thinking of coupled feedbacks to move beyond, for example, thinking about surface fluxes across the air-sea interface to considering the interactions of both the atmospheric and ocean boundary layers, as shown with the red arrow. If you study the tropical atmosphere, we're going to ask that you try to expand your thinking to include the ocean mix layer and the processes that regulate its variability. Similarly, if you study the tropical ocean, expand your thinking to the lower atmosphere and the processes that regulate its variability. So our hope is that these expanded perspectives will help us think more creatively and to envision novel observing strategies to advance understanding. So given those goals, we've organized the workshop as follows. Today, we'll hear an overview of tropical Pacific observing infrastructure and results from previous workshops. And we'll listen to some presentations to help frame the problems that we'll be discussing over the next few days. Tomorrow, we'll break into disciplinary groups to discuss atmospheric and ocean observing needs. And then on day 3, we'll ask you to put on your cross-disciplinary thinking caps to imagine new tropical Pacific observing strategies to advance process understanding and representation in models.